All right, we're here. Live from Montpellier, France. And I'm super grateful to be capable to have this class from anywhere, really, anytime. And regardless of all the difficulties, we're here. And everything that has happened in the past brought us to this moment. So I invite you to be grateful and to acknowledge all the hardships had their purpose and they have served us well. And in retrospect, there's absolutely nothing to feel bad or good about, just acknowledge what has happened. And here we are. Let's set an intention for the class and create that vibe of that intention to bring yourself into the present moment as well as where you want to be. Set that intention now and repeat it 3 times in your head in present time. Notice where your breath is. If you haven't sat yet, sit in a comfortable position with straight spine. The core is slightly engaged, so that way you can keep the spine straight. Move the shoulders towards the ears and then move the shoulders back and relax them. Relax the facial muscles, neck, arms, and hands. Expand the belly forward on inhalation and towards the spine on exhalation. Begin to tuning into the present vibe of the moment. Relax the thighs and knees and calves and feet. Throughout the class, try to bring yourself as much as possible to the present moment by using the breath as, where's my breath? Is it full? Can I move it more down, lower? Expanding the belly forward gently on inhalation. And belly towards the spine on exhalation. As you find yourself drifting away with thoughts throughout the practice, because you will, it's normal, whether they're thoughts, random ones, or plans for the future, or maybe memories. Acknowledge that and bring back your attention to the present moment through the breath. The single most effective way to just be present, right here, right now. So we have place both of your hands on the heart center. Inhale to the belly as you move the belly forward. Exhale, belly towards the spine. As you keep your hands on the heart center, Can you feel your heartbeat? Inhale, hands above the head, interlace fingers, and move them up and away from you. From the hips, anchoring the hips into the earth. Extend the arms far away from the hips and hinge towards the left. So right sitting bone is more anchored. Try to keep right shoulder and right arm back. And then move towards the right. This time anchoring through the left sitting bone. Once again, lean towards the left, extend the entire right side, and lean towards the right, extending the entire left side. Back towards the middle and keep the fingers interlaced. Move the palms towards you and begin lowering the arms, spacing out the shoulder blades on the back, relaxing the shoulders. Tuck the chin towards the chest, keep moving the hands down. Inhale, hands back up. And once again, exhaling, moving both of the arms down. Once you're curving the top part of the spine, creating space between the shoulder blades. Send the breath on the backs of the lungs. Inhale, arms back up and place the arms behind you. Just towards the sky. You want to always keep the elbows shy of lock to protect the wrists. Chin towards the sky, opening the heart center. Sending the breath all the way down to the bottoms of the lungs. Keep maintaining that breath throughout the practice. And if you catch yourself that breath is shallow, then move it lower. If it's difficult, then maybe you are too deep in a pose and back up a little bit, or maybe you're holding too long. Back up completely. And back to neutral. Let's change the crossings of the legs. And fingertips away from the crown of the head. Kind of like digging for worms into the ground. Wiggle the fingers, move left ear towards the left shoulder. And then right ear towards the right shoulder. Notice differences between the sides. Back, left ear towards the left shoulder, and right ear towards the right shoulder. Left ear towards the left shoulder, and begin moving the head forward and back, away from right fingertips. Right ear towards the right shoulder, moving forward and back, creating the space in the entire left side from the crown of the head to the left fingertips. Back to neutral, elevate the right arm up towards the sky and keep the left one somewhere on your left side for support. See how tall you can get. Fingertips away from right sitting bone and then lean towards the left. Real good, far away from the right sitting bone. Move the right arm slightly back and maybe look underneath it even. Breath is more towards the right lower side of the belly. And then back to neutral. Try to maintain length of the spine, especially when you exit in a pose. It's good to inhale as you exit. Elevate the left arm overhead and then move the left shoulder slightly back. Look underneath the left arm. And breathe all the way to the bottom of the belly on the left side. And then back to neutral. Hug yourself or maybe make an eagle arms pose with right arm in front of the left arm, interlace, lower elbows, lower chin, lower hands, and forward. Sending the breath on the backs of the lungs. Inhale, arms straight up. And let's switch the directions. So left arm in front of the right, interlacing or just hugging, whichever is easier. Lowering elbows, lowering arms, lowering chin. Breathe on the backs of the lungs, creating space between the shoulder blades. Elevate the arms up to find center, and we'll make a transition into tabletop. When we're on tabletop, we want to spread fingertips as much as possible, far away from each other to protect the wrists, digging the fingers into the mat, into the earth. Hands are exactly underneath the shoulders and knees are exactly underneath the hips. On exhalation, just round the back and move the chin, lowering it. And extending the middle of the spine towards the sky. Inhale, chin and tailbone going towards the sky. Exhale, round the back. Do this a few times with your own breath. Matching the breath with movement. Keep flowing. Keep flowing. Inhale, left leg straight behind, up in the air. Begin rotating the ankle and change the direction of the rotation. Back to tabletop, all fours. Right leg straight behind, up in the air, and begin making circles of the ankle. Change the direction. And back to tabletop, regular tabletop. Move left knee forward in between the hands. And then crawl with the arms forward into a pigeon. Slowly lowering. If you want more intensity in the pose, maybe move the left ankle more towards the right. And breathe. This one is a longer hold of a pose since it uses lots of muscles that are big and stubborn, and they just take more time to release. Exit very slow, sneaking out of the pose, walk the hands forward towards you, perhaps backward towards you because they were forward, and find yourself into a tabletop. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Right knee moves forward between the hands, left leg moves back, and then begin to lower yourself, walking the arms forward. Maybe if you want to make it more intense here, move the right ankle towards the left. Notice differences. How does that side feel different than the other one? This pose really exposes differences between the legs. Because again, the muscles are big here and they're more stubborn, and also definitely show differences if there are any. Breathe. Relaxing the leg, relaxing the foot. Maybe come back to your intention from the beginning of the class and repeat it 3 times in your head in present time. You're gonna exit the pose very slowly, walking the hands towards you, lifting up very, very, very slowly. Untuck that foot from wherever it was and get yourself into a tabletop. Extend through the left leg straight behind you, like we did before. Make sure the fingertips are spread and elbows are shy of lock. And see if you can lift up the foot higher with the entire leg higher, straight back. And then move it towards the right and look at the foot on the right side. Keep it higher, at least head height. And then move it towards the left and look at it. Keep the breath flowing through the core, even the core is engaged here. You want to move the breath lower to the bottom of the belly, and then look towards the foot on the right side. Maybe look at it from the left side once more. Back to regular tabletop. Extend through the right leg up in the air and see if you can lift it up higher. And then move the right leg towards the left. Look at it. Try to keep the legs straight here. And then towards the right. Look at it. Where is the breath? Is it restricted just because we're using a little more core here? Moving it towards the left again and look at it. Moving it towards the right and looking at it. And find yourself back to tabletop, tuning into your intention, tuning into the environment. Notice any background noises, regardless if they are around you or they're coming from around me. Somewhere I hear some stuff, and that's fine. These are not going to be our distractions, these are going to be our focusing points. Noises are not distractions. Untuck the toes and move into downward facing dog, lifting the tailbone high up towards the sky, elongating the backs of the legs, and begin pedaling one heel at a time. Left heel down, right heel up. Right heel down, left heel up. With the breath, and try to look towards your navel and pushing the mat away with the hands. Pedaling left and then right. Begin walking towards the hands, find yourself in forward fold and hanging there. Very slowly begin lifting up, one vertebra at a time. Anchoring through the feet, lifting all the way up, arms up towards the sky. Exhaling into forward fold. Inhaling all the way up. Exhaling in forward fold. Bend the left knee and begin folding yourself more over towards the right foot. Extend from the right heel to the right hip. Let's switch, bend the right knee and fold more over the left foot. Back towards the middle, just regular forward fold. Maybe grab opposite elbows here. The head is just hanging, elongating from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And at the same time, the backs of the legs. Let your hands go completely and then lifting up one vertebra at a time, all the way up. Do a couple of shoulder rolls once you're on the top and anchor through the feet. Feet are like shoulder distance. And then the knees are slightly bent and then your tailbone is slightly tucked. So try not to stick your butt out, but instead tucked in, tailbone. And then shoulders back and down and relax, palms forward. The chin is slightly tucked in order to create that expansion of the neck, which is a beautiful continuation of the spine. Mountain pose. Where's the breath? Inhale, hands above the head, forward fold. Exhale, and move into downward facing dog, hands forward, feet back. Look into your navel and really push the mat away from you with the hands. Creating that extension in the chest area by pushing the mat away actively. Fingertips are spread, protect the wrists. Look forward, move the left foot towards the left hand, and then place the right knee on the mat. Untuck the back toes. See if you can move the foot a little bit more forward in order to create that 90-degree angle. So you always want to be tracking the knee behind the ankle or on top of it, but never in front to protect the knee. Future you will thank you for that. Inhaling, arms above the head. Exhale, we straighten the front leg as we're folding over. See if you can elongate towards the toes, first direction, versus like lower in the head. Instead, you just think towards the toes with the chin. Bend the left knee, elevate the arms up towards the sky. And then we are going to, on exhale, find ourselves into downward facing dog. And then elevate the left foot up towards the sky. Back to regular downward facing dog. And we move the right foot towards the right hand, left knee on the mat. Untuck the left foot. And make sure, maybe move the right foot forward a little bit. Just make sure that you're tracking the knee behind the foot or on top of the foot, but never in front to protect the knee. Elevating arms up towards the sky. And exhale, straighten the front leg as you're folding over. Think chin towards the toes. Expanding the back of the right leg. Bend the knee on inhalation. Lift the hands up towards the sky. Hands back on the mat and find yourself into a downward facing dog, elevating the right leg up towards the sky. Far away from the hands, and the hands are pushing the mat away actively. Back to downward facing dog. Inhale into plank. Forward body is flat as a board. Get the shoulders out of your ears. See if you can move them back by tightening the core. Exhale, lowering yourself all the way to the ground. On top the back toes. And then begin reaching towards the heels and grab the hang of the ankles or the feet. And breathe, elevating the chest slightly. Keep the knees on the mat. And breathe. Let go of the feet and transition into child's pose. Sitting on the ankles. Forehead towards the ground, and the hands are actively pulling forward. Fingertips far away from the sitting bones. Sending the breath from the backs of the lungs. Inhale into tabletop and through tabletop. Downward facing dog, and tuck the back toes. And move the tailbone up towards the sky, walking the feet maybe forward in order to elongate the backs of the legs and push the mat away with the hands. looking at your navel. Inhale into plank. And exhale, lowering elbows in towards you, lowering all the way down. Letting go on the mat. Grab the hang of the ankles or heels. And then lift the chest every so slightly. Find your breath. And then begin elevating the knees off of the ground as well. And lift the chest some more. Not 100%, but maybe 70% of what you can actually lift with the chest and with the knees. Look towards your left foot. Where is the breath? Is it all the way down to the bottom of the belly? If not, if you can force it in. If it's too difficult, then don't look that far back. Look towards your right foot. And let go of the feet. Transition into downward facing dog, spreading the fingertips. And push yourself away from the mat, lifting up tailbone high. Chest towards the thighs. Walk the feet towards the hands. And once you find yourself in forward fold, anchor through the heels and begin elevating all the way up. Inhaling hands above the head. Exhale back into forward fold. Once again, inhale all the way up. Forward fold. Plant the hands on the mat and spread fingertips every time you're on your hands. Want to think about fingertip spread. Jump or walk the feet into plank. Rotate towards the right and elevate the right arm up towards the sky. Begin making circles with the right wrist. And maybe change the direction at some point. Back to regular plank. We're going to rotate the other side. Left arm up towards the sky. Making circles of the left wrist. And change the direction. Back to regular plank. Once more, right arm elevates. And then back to regular plank, left arm elevates. Regular plank and push the mat away into downward facing dog. Look forward and place the left foot towards the left hand. Right heel is up. You're just on the ball of the foot on the right side. So more like a lunge, not warrior one, but elevating arms up towards the sky. Keep strong through the right leg and left leg. Left foot is really anchored. So we're going to straighten the left leg and fold over. Keep the right heel up. On inhalation, bend the left knee, elevate the arms. And again, straighten the left leg on exhalation as you fall forward fold towards it. Inhale once more, all the way up. Exhale, all the way downward facing dog. Spreading fingertips and away from the mat. Chest towards the thighs. Look forward, right foot forward towards the hands. Keep the left heel up. Same thing, inhale, arms above the head. On exhalation, we can straighten the front leg. Folding over. Inhaling, arms above the head. And once more. Exhale all the way down, strengthening the front leg. Inhaling all the way up. And then with me on the hands, downward facing dog. Here, take a break, maybe take a water break. Maybe just stay in downward facing dog. Pushing the mat away. Maybe get into child's pose. Feel free throughout the class to get into child's pose or downward facing dog anytime. Resting in your recuperating pose. Gaining your breath, your strength back. Walk the hands towards you. And then find yourself into sitting pose with legs about 70% of what they can be stretching between themselves. And then begin walking the hands forward. Imagine that I walk behind you and I press the middle of your spine. So you're moving forward with the chest. The direction is not so much down as it's forward. Now that you're thinking direction forward, still keep thinking forward as you're making a micro switch towards the left. Walking the hands towards the left. Notice any area of resistance. If something like that happens, just stop the pose and breathe in that one spot. You don't have to go exactly on top of the left leg. The area of resistance could be way before you reach the leg with the arms. So just notice. Walking towards the middle once again. Think main movement is forward, not down. And begin walking towards the right with the hands. This pose could get really intense really fast. So don't think the destination is to be exactly above the right leg. It's more of a journey thing. What's happening? Is there any resistance? Send the breath there. Walk towards the left once more, and I encourage you to notice differences between the sides. How close are you to your left leg before you start feeling resistance? Of course, this is going to be a little bit different than the first time you walk towards the left foot. Notice where you're at. Breathe. And then walk towards the middle. And then walk towards the right. Notice how is this side different than the other side. And then back towards the middle. Sneaking into the pose, walking fingertips away from the tailbone. See if you can get a little more forward with the fingertips. Relax the feet, relax the calves, relax the thighs, relax the hips. Sending the breath into the full length of the legs. Begin walking the hands towards you very, very, very slowly, as this is like a really deep stretch and you don't want the muscles to snap right back in. Inhaling, hands above the head and square over the left foot, and you're folding over the left foot on exhalation. Very slowly. Inhaling back up, squaring over the right, and forward fold over the right. Don't have to touch the ground with the right, with the hands. Elevating up towards the sky, squaring over the left, lowering. Exhale. Elevating up. Use strong core here rather than relaxed. The breath is still flowing to the bottoms of the lungs, even though the core is tightening. And exhale towards the left. Inhale up, exhale towards the right. Inhale up, last one towards the left. Inhale all the way up and square it towards the right for the last time. Inhaling up. Hands behind your head, interlaced. And make sure that you're not leaning forward with the head. The neck is a beautiful continuation of the spine, remember? Right elbow towards the sky. And left elbow towards the sky. Notice how does that feel in the middle of the spine, on the side. Like right underneath the shoulder blades. Right elbow towards the sky again. Full breath, slightly engaged core, so maybe the breath is a little bit restricted. Left elbow towards the sky. And then back to neutral. Find your way somehow maybe to get your legs together with the help of the arms, and then place feet together. The knees are apart, far away from you and towards the ground, and help them go lower with the elbows. Straighten the spine and think that the neck is a continuation of the spine. So from tailbone to the crown of the head, one straight line, hinging from the hips, moving forward. Come back to your attention from the beginning of the class and repeat it 3 times in your head in present time. Inhaling back up and hug the knees towards the chest. Hug the chin towards the knees or between the knees. And once again, put the feet together where they were before. And this time, you can choose to use the elbows to move the knees more towards the ground. But this time, begin moving forward, hinging from the hips with straight spine, and then start curving the spine as you're moving the face towards the feet. Sending the breath on the backs of the lungs. Notice differences between the sides, left and right, on the spine, on the back. If there's no differences, great. If there are, breathe into that area that's tighter. It's just shortened. There's less space, so you want to send the breath to elongate and expand there. Tucking the chin towards the chest, moving the forehead towards the knees, not towards the knees, towards the feet. Excuse me. Very slowly exiting that. By inhale, I would always suggest exiting the pose with inhale so you can elongate and expand out of the pose versus collapsing out of it. And we'll make a transition into tabletop like we started. And then from there, make a transition into downward facing dog, lifting up the hips towards the sky. Both heels are pointed towards the ground, elongating the backs of the legs, spreading fingertips, moving chest towards the thighs, and pushing actively with the hands away from the mat. Inhale into plank. Exhale, lowering all the way down, but hover. Inhale into upward facing dog. Back into downward facing dog. Exhale. Once again, inhale forward into plank. Exhale, write the breath down. Inhale into upward facing dog, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale into plank, lower all the way down and just lay on your belly. Grab the hold of the ankles. And this time, lift up higher. The chest and the knees and the thighs. And the top part of the belly. Breathe. And exhale, lowering everything. Place your hands in front of you, one on top of the other. And then place the left ear on the top of the arms. And breathe. When you have enough of that break, then grab again the hold of the ankles and lift up once more into goal pose. Moving the chest higher, the knees higher, thighs are off of the mat, and maybe move even the chest even higher. So that way, the top part of the belly is off of the mat. And when you have enough of that, exhale, arms in front of you, and this time put your right cheek on the arms. Breathe. Place the hands in front of both of your sides on your shoulders and just lift up into child's pose. Actively pulling the fingertips away from the tailbone. Preferably put your forehead on the ground and then walk the hands towards the left. And then move the hands towards the right. Back towards the middle with the hands far away from the tailbone, actively pulling away. Keep the elbows down as you switch your weight forward with the body kind of like a tabletop, but you're not on the hands, you are on the forearms. Just notice if the wrists are a little bit towards each other. You want to have parallel both arms. You're on the elbows. Still on the knees, like tabletop like. And then we're gonna move into kind of like a plank, but on the forearms. And then begin walking the feet forward. Straight legs, knees are off the mat. And then knees back on the mat. Okay, we're gonna lift up once more into that pose and then walk the feet a little bit further more forward if possible. As long as the breath is there, we're fine. Lifting up the hips towards the sky. Walk the feet towards you. Keep staying on the entire forearm. Strong spread fingers. And lowering the knees. Child's pose. Walk the hands towards you and find yourself on your knees. So this one might be a little bit uncomfortable. If it is, there would be a good idea to find something to sit on. In hero's pose. Begin walking the arms behind you. Breathe. Move the sitting bones inside of your feet and keep lowering. Any sensations in the knees, you're a little bit too far, so notice and acknowledge that every day we're in different bodies, we're in different states, and also from person to person, like varies big time. So you want to make sure that you don't have any weird sensations in the knees. The ankles are from the two sides of the sitting bones. Lift up chest towards the sky and tuck in the tailbone slightly. That might change the sensations in the knees. Begin lowering. Try not to have the neck collapse, but strong neck. Very mindful of that one. For example, for me, some days I go all the way down into laying position in this one. Some days I'm so much more tight that if I do, it would be, if I do go all the way down, it would be something that I'm making an injury to myself. So I'm noticing where is the sensation and how far can I sneak in without the breath to be compromised and really not have pain. Sneaking in is the key, really, to be more mindful. And when you're ready, begin lifting up. Strong straight spine, of course, first of all. Then we make a transition into downward facing dog. Lifting up the hips just towards the thighs. Pushing the mat away actively with the hands. Breathe. Look forward towards the hands and move the left foot forward towards the hands. Move the two hands a little bit more forward and maybe on the two sides of that left foot where you have more leverage. And begin elevating the back foot up in the air for kind of like a standing split. Not kind of like, but it is. So the two hands are kind of embracing the left foot. Right foot lifts up as high as possible, far away from the two hands. Use the hands for leverage. On the exhalation, find yourself in forward fold. Now we make a transition to the other side. So embrace the right foot with the two hands, but in front, not like on the two sides, but in front. Elevate the left leg, standing split. Think left leg far away from the hands. So see how high you can get it up. All right, we're going to switch this once again to the left. So left foot down, embrace the left foot with the two hands, and elevate the right leg straight up, and then place the left hand somewhere more towards the left for more leverage. So you can elevate the right arm up towards the sky, and so right foot and right arm are elevated. Now, more challenge would be if you move your gaze towards the right. That's extremely challenging to do in the bed. It's very soft. And then find yourself in forward fold wherever you can. Do the same thing on the other side. First, embrace the right leg with both of the hands, but forward. And then left leg up towards the sky, move the right arm more towards the right for leverage. And then elevate the left arm up towards the sky. Ooh, this side is a little more challenging for me, so notice differences, of course. And more challenge to the balance would be looking towards the left. And find yourself in forward fold. Sit on the mat, have the knees towards the chest, and head in between the knees. Find yourself into laying down position with still hugging the knees. Grab the whole of the toes and happy baby. The knees are on the two sides of you, moving left and right. Plant the heels about a foot away from your sitting bones. Plant the hands on the mat. Lift up the hips, but not all the way up, like 50%. Just enough so you can breathe fully. Begin walking the shoulders underneath you, finding length from the knees to the shoulders. Palms are down for anchoring. Begin lowering and hover about 1 inch from the mat. So don't slam yourself out, but instead stay strong. Keep moving the breath all the way to the bottom of the lungs, or think belly expands on inhalation, belly towards the spine on exhalation. Lift up once more for a bridge, and this time you can go a little bit higher.
maybe 70–80%. Exhale, lowering and hover. And inhale, lift up higher, way higher. So maybe 95%. And walk the shoulders underneath you, and you can interlace hands underneath you in this one. Hips are high. Breathe fully. Belly moves towards the sky on inhalation, belly towards the earth on exhalation. Very slowly and mindfully with control, begin lowering the hips and uninterlacing, if that's a word, the hands. And then find yourself with the hips on the mat and hug the knees towards the chest, moving left and right. So in this one, in order to incorporate more of a lower back massage, get a hang of the knees with both of the hands. And then don't move the spine, but instead, and don't move the hips and the spine, and instead move the knees into circles with the help of the hands. So just the knees, without the spine, without the hips. Hips are grounded. And then switch the direction. Full breath. Though this one isn't easier, the breath should be flowing as much as possible to the bottoms of the lungs. Hug the knees towards the chest and move the knees towards the left. Hold them down with the left arm as you're elongating through the right up towards the sky, and slowly begin lowering it towards the right as you forward with your gaze. Now the breath is a little bit restricted, or more than a little bit, in twists. So you might have to force in the breath. Force it in all the way down. Hug the knees towards the chest and in, up towards the sky. Moving left and right, massaging the entire length of the spine. Slightly tuck the chin so you can incorporate the neck and shoulders area as well. And drop the knees towards the right. Keep the knees down with your right arm. Elevate the left one up towards the sky. And then begin lowering it. Forward with your gaze. Where is the breath? Does it need to be forced in? Breathe. And when you're ready, hug the knees towards the chest. Moving left and right, massaging the spine. Extend the feet away and the arms away from the crown of the head with the palms up next to you. Or you could spread the hands, the arms far away from the heart center, whatever is comfortable. Sometimes I like to do this one with the arms straight to my two sides because it does provide relaxation in the pose as well as still creating space in the much needed tightness of the arms. So let's say if I have done a lot of work with my arms, that's very helpful. It's still considered to be Shavasana. Teaching the body perfect body alignment is the most important pose in the practice as it teaches your body perfect body alignment and of course seals the practice. So close the eyes here at this point and begin relaxing from the crown of the head. Relax the scalp, relax the facial muscles of the forehead and eyebrow, and jaw, cheeks, and eyes. Relax the throat, inside and outside, where the skin is touching the air and the clothing. Relax the shoulders and the chest to the side and outside. Relax the arms and the hands and the fingers. Relax the belly area inside and outside where your clothing is touching the skin. Relax the thighs, inside and outside. Relax the knees and the calves and the ankles and the feet. Relax the toes and the heels and the feet on the bottom of the heels. Full breath, relaxing every single gland and cell and cause them to function correctly in better health, feeling better than before. Imagine a white light covering you like a cloud, like a blanket. Inhale, getting that white light into every cell. Exhale, expelling things that are no longer needed. Inhaling white light. Maybe put a gentle smile on your face. Exhaling everything that doesn't serve you and you no longer need. Scan through the body, starting from the feet, going up. Notice any areas that are not quite as relaxed as the rest and just tell them to relax. Going up, feet, legs, core, chest, shoulders, arms, hands, neck, and facial muscles. Come back to your intention from the beginning of the class and repeat it 3 times in your head in present time. I invite you to do an Om chant with me. So this one is so beneficial on so many levels. really does us good. Just stay open-minded and see what happens. So we're gonna inhale deeply into the belly, and then we're gonna keep inhaling into the chest and keep inhaling into the tops of the lungs towards the shoulders. So it's gonna be 3-part breath. And on the exhale, instead of exhaling, we're gonna sing an om. And the sound om starts from the bottom of the belly, and it's composed by 3 sounds. There are a lot more, but like 3 parts. Ah on the bottom where the belly is. Oh, where it's towards the middle section, and then on the top towards the middle of the face where your third eye is, and it goes out of the crown of the head. So actually it's out the whole thing. So inhale, remember the 3 parts of the inhale so you can get full breath as much as possible throughout the entire body. Inhale. So that could be felt actually how the sound travels from bottom of the body all the way to the crown chakra, like changing the sounds. And it's called om, but it actually has all these 3 sounds components in it. And let's do this again. Inhale. And once again. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, try this, the om sound, at least 3 times, but up to 26. And notice what is happening throughout the day. Imagine that white line again, hugging you like a blanket, like a cloud, like a blanket, cloud/blanket, protecting you, giving you health, energy, and joy. On exhale, you expel everything that's no longer needed. Inhale all the way to the bottom of the feet. Exhale through the crown of the head. Once more, inhale all the way to the feet. Exhale to the crown of the head. Come back to the intention from the beginning of the class. Remember what it was. Save it. Come back to it throughout the day. Begin wiggling the fingers and the toes, and maybe move the hands overhead, stretching far away from the heels. Moving the feet towards the left, and then the arms And the hands towards the left into a banana shape. Banana on the right side, big stretch. And let's move the feet and the hands towards the right. Banana on the left side. And back towards the middle. And find your way to one side, left to right, into fetal position. Fetal position is a symbol of rebirth, and also it helps the body getting ready to get up and slowly find your way versus slamming yourself out of a pose and worst, ninja jumping into sitting position. Don't do that because you just did all this goodness, expansion and elongation of the body. And anything abrupt would be kind of interfering with that. You want to take your time, lifting up, maybe with the help of the arms, elevating with a strong straight spine, and find your way into a sitting position at some point. Close the eyes for a second and practice gratitude towards everything that has happened in your life to bring you to this moment, to create the person you are today, to have the experiences you have today, to have the opportunities you have today. Repeat your intention in your head 3 times in present time. Feel free to keep resting and meditating, or get up and continue with your day and have a beautiful week ahead of you. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. Super grateful. See you Friday back in LA. Bye.